Oh, yeah. It's just different. I love Christine, and she's so funny on stage. She always has this little hand, and when we did the execution for Prince Persia, it's this little hand. Only we can see it. I love Rome. I love Rome. He's all grew up. I can't.
We did a lot of singing.
I know somebody that sang Pond in Philadelphia with Nielsen and Corelli.
Oh, wow.
And of course, Corelli never came to a rehearsal. And we get late into the first act. Corelli comes up to me and says, "Dove is gone." He didn't know what his song was. So we don't worship.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, that is.
That's what I was like, oh, I worship. I like that.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
The guy told me.
That screwed the entire story.
Well, you see, I remember hearing Corelli, and it was an unbelievable experience.
Wait, I'll give you the
But I
exact.
remember at Naida, and I was
Came here
thinking, I
without my
got
watch,
free tickets
so I was
way down in front. The triumphal scene, he'd stand there and go, and then it would come behind you, and it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
It would just, I mean, you couldn't believe it.
Those voices of those people right there are out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying yesterday, I mean, because Christine's back is to us. So I'm hearing this amazing, this sounds ridiculous, but I'm like, her back is to us, and I'm still hearing like this. What the hell and stuff like that. I can't even imagine.
I don't know this story, but my first weekend in New York, I lived in Virginia, I've never been here before. I came in. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I came in Friday night. Saturday afternoon.
I wish.
Saturday afternoon. Norman. Saturday night. Barlow. Caballé. Domingo.
Oh my goodness.
My first weekend.
Legend.
And 2 months later, after this,
Was that then? Oh, okay.
it was in 72. No, that would have been in 70. But 2 months later, I heard an electro, Nielsen, Reason and Dress, Carlton.
Legend.
We don't have that anymore.
We have a different class.
Catherine just asked me where Rose was. Rose is over there.
Yeah, it's a good crew. Not like they were. I think we're in a we're talking about this with my friend, even Broadway, Robin Close, we're in a tree in the garden. Because this season is a bunch of new folks. And one of them, a few of them will keep going.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we have about half of our space, and it's going to be like this for, I don't remember, a little while, weeks, maybe even a few couple of months. They're fixing the organ. That's what's happening. So in some ways, it's sort of nice. It's like a little intimate. It sort of reminds me of when we squished in over there, you know. And lucky for us today, it's the Sunday after Easter, which is always a small Sunday. So we get to sort of try it out with a smaller group and then think about how we're going to manage this in the weeks to come. It is good to see you all today. Today, our worship team is Brother Zachary, who is our chaplain for pastoral care. We have with us both Darnell White and Jerry Brown. Our choir, with our volunteer choir, as I understand it, Runita is our usher, who I assume is in the back, greeting everyone. She is, okay, I see her now. And children are, of course, always welcome. You see a child running around free, they are doing their thing, you just encourage it. Say, faster, go, loud, scream. That's what children should be doing. There is also an option for them to go upstairs and hang out in the loft for children's programming if they so desire. And so let us begin. What an opportunity for us to right-size ourselves as the ground moves beneath our feet, as earth, the sun and moon align, as storms drench us, fill our waterways, and dry out again. We are smaller than we think we are, more vulnerable than we want to be, further from the center of the universe than we too often assume. So we gather together like humans have done from the beginning to wonder, to celebrate, to hold fast to one another as we spin through this vast and mysterious solar system together. We're going to begin our chalice lighting with our song, Please Rise in Body or in Spirit.
The spoken words are in your program. Please join me. We light this chalice, the flame of our heritage. May it ignite hope in our lives, in the community, and in the world. All are invited to join now as we sing Lean on Me, hymn number 1021.
We all have
Everything fell off. Give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Please join me in sharing our unison affirmation. The words are printed in your program. Unto the Church Universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides, and always magnifies humanity and peace, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty, and which shall make of all persons one beloved community. Unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and hearts. Now is the opportunity to greet your neighbor. We greet each other on Sundays as part of our liturgy. We turn to our neighbor, whether they're strangers or old friends, and welcome each other to our shared space. It's our way of saying that our spiritual path is communal, relational, that we are in this together. It's not just friendly. It's how we ground ourselves in this space now with each other. Please greet your neighbor. And then I knocked it down.
And with the harmony.
Okay, friends, find your way back to your seats. You always do the greet your neighbor very well, A+. Find your way back. We're gathering here today when so much has happened, right? I mean, it's just the energy of the week was sort of cool and kind of odd, right? Who felt that earthquake? I was texting at the time with Brother Zachary and Reverend Jude, and I stopped because I thought my house was coming down. And actually, I thought my furnace blew up. And I I grabbed my phone, of course, and put my shoes on. It's a funny thing what you do in an emergency. I actually thought, I should put my shoes on. And the furnace hadn't blown up. Checked on the child, who was essentially asleep still. I said, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Is there a monster in the house?" I'm like, but that was weird and unusual. And we have this eclipse coming our way. And some people think that means that the world is ending, and far be it from me to suggest it's not. But it kind of puts everything in perspective when the world just shifts and changes, when we are powerless over the planet. And it, for me, also reminds me that we are interconnected and interdependent and ever more requiring of spaces like these. So let's begin. One of the joys of a Sunday is that we get a little bit of space. We are today going to get a little bit of quiet with a background of children playing, which frankly is as it should be. So let's take a breath and just listen for the chime. God of springtime, God of rain, God of sunshine, we are so grateful for this glorious, delicious, beautiful world we live in. Thank you for the lengthening days, the nearing of the sun, the waking of the trees and soil and flowers. We are grateful for the balance spring brings and for the April rains that visit us every year. God of love, Spirit of life, we are ever aware of the pain and suffering of so many people, too many of us to name, too many for us to even know about. Inspire us to action, to lives seeking justice and offering charity to people who need us to be generous. We can't help but think of the thousands of people leaving Venezuela searching for respite, for safety, braving unpassable jungles only to find there is no hope at the end of their treacherous journey. We can't help but think about the people in Palestine who are facing human-induced famine, who are grieving their homes, suffering unspeakable loss after the deaths of their families. And we can't help but think about the housing crisis right here, leaving too many people vulnerable and afraid. God of changing seasons, we are carrying our own pain, our own loss, our own fear. We bring to this circle the names of people we are holding, as well as our personal loneliness and longing and need for healing. Today we lift up a friend of Reverend Jude's who died this week, known in his gaming circles as Green Lantern. We hold him and everyone who lost someone they love. We're also holding Annie in her season of grief. All people who are struggling with addiction and those who love them. And please, speak the names of those that you need to bring into this circle of prayer.
Today is the Sunday after Easter. Is my mic working okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was a long Lent. I don't know if it was for you too. You know, Lent is often a time for fasting, and I have been fasting since before I can remember. Where I'm from, fasting is a common practice, and Holy Week is a common fast time. My parents fasted occasionally as I grew up. My mother described it to me as a tool for healing. So many different cultures where I'm from fasted. Fasting for religious clarity didn't necessarily mean abstaining from food, but it often was. Abstaining in our context now doesn't necessarily need to be about food. We can take time away from a habit of any kind. We seek clarity in this way. We check familiar patterns to be certain we are behaving in healthy ways. Fasting from food, however, does strike a particular ancient and political chord. It is practiced widely, not just where I'm from. People have different individual reasons or explanations. Different groups have different customs. But generally, the religious people I knew lived this way. It was easy for me, as a child, to assume all people lived this way. Then I came to New York. I encountered a new kind of cultural diversity here, a new landscape of religion. I came to know Judaism and Islam, each with distinct ways of relating to fasting, yet both still very different from me and where I come from. Moreover, here in New York, I encountered people who didn't know what it was to fast. People who had never done it, had never heard of others who had done it, and still others who had never known anyone to have fasted. I encountered people who were actively, aggressively against such practices of self-deprivation, heralding instead a practice of self-affirmation, of self-care. Reverent abstention was not a part of life where these new friends came from. They wanted what was best for me, and guided by religious liberalism, my new friends tried to save me from what they saw as my dangerous and destructive piety. It wasn't long before I decided it was easier for me just to not talk about it. It was easier not to talk about religion at all, in fact. And my religion in this time in my life became another aspect of my identity that it was easier just to hide. I would do my best just to spend fast days alone. Those days I would avoid my friends. I'd stay in at night. The tension I felt on the inside I could only describe as a feeling of having my values in conflict with each other. I wanted to seek integrity on the one hand and avoid conflict on the other. I learned to keep myself hidden to feel safe, to preserve my integrity, I told myself. If I had my life to live over, I would not have made that choice. I would not have hidden myself. On one of these fast days in particular, I was trying not to show my friends I was fasting, but we had a scheduled soccer game that afternoon. My friends and I, after our game, went to a Subway chain where they make sandwiches, and we were very excited. You know, the reason we went to this particular Subway is because a friend on our team who was from Nepal also had a friend who worked at Subway from Nepal. We would get good discounts. I didn't know that this friend behind the counter was also Muslim. And at the time of our soccer game, it was also Ramadan. The other players on the team went up and ordered a sandwich, but I was fasting, so I did not. I didn't even approach the counter. "Come on, what do you want, Zach?" my friends would each say. "Don't worry, I got you," mentioned another friend, who was worried I didn't have the money. "I'm good," I insisted. I was the only one on the team who didn't order. And after we had been helped, my friends shuffled to get their table together, and I had lingered standing. The man who served us lingered as well, almost to ask a question of me, but he didn't say anything, so I broke the silence first. "How are you?" I asked. "Hungry," he replied. "You?" "Me too," I said. "Ramadan Mubarak," he said to me and walked away. It was a bit awkward, and I didn't know what to say in return, and I didn't know what his words even meant at the time, or even what Ramadan was, but it really didn't matter because at that moment I felt seen. I didn't have to tell him that actually I was Christian, not Muslim. We didn't have to discuss the terms of the fast to figure out who was doing it right. I knew he had seen something important in me. I felt a new kind of belonging. It was deeper, like someone so different from me could actually be very much the same. That short conversation shaped me a great deal, and if I had to live my life over, I would tell people more often when I feel hungry, and I would not hide my truth so much. Blessed be. Please join us now in singing our hymn, Open the Window, number 1022. Thank you. Church doesn't only happen on Sundays. Church is who we are out in the world and how we connect all throughout the week. We don't announce everything that's happening, so reading our weekly email or checking the website is the best way to stay in touch. Here are a few things to keep in mind this week. Gallery 35, the committee that keeps our art gallery going, even though space is so limited, meets this Wednesday at 6:30 on Zoom. Today, after worship, is our multi-generational crafting salon, Multi-Gen Crafting Salon. All are welcome to get creative. We will walk over to 10 Park Avenue immediately after service. Also this week is the next meeting of the small group looking at what's next for Unitarian Universalism. Reverend Jude is leading that discussion on Thursday at 5 o'clock, also online. April 28th is our traditional Passover Seder, which we will hold right after worship, also at 10 Park Avenue. We have a sign-up sheet in the back after worship for those who want to attend. Our usher will now pass a plate for donations, and we are very grateful for your presence, for your willingness to be part of building this world we dream about, and we are always grateful for your financial support. Thank you for being with us today.
A few years ago, a congregant of mine from my previous church dropped off his wife and their grandkids in front of their building in the Bronx. As they were getting out of the car, he was heading out to find parking, and he said, "Take care of the kids and go about your business." Moments later, he died of a massive heart attack. Death is often, even usually, unexpected, which has almost nothing to do with the circumstances. Death alters life for our beloved, shaking the ground and forcing a recalibration. I've seen people sitting by a deathbed for months and still report how sudden a death was. I can't help but wonder today what life would look like if we thought there was only a little bit of time left. I don't mean a week, I mean like a year. What would change if we thought we had just a little bit of time? How would we spend just the last year? And I don't know for sure, but I think that I would live in a bigger, bolder way. I wouldn't be afraid to speak truth. I'd take more risks. I'd care less about what people think. I'd be sure to capture moments to smell the air, to feel my son's soft hair, to enjoy the way my dogs jump on top of each other every time I try and put leashes on them, instead of getting annoyed that they're just wasting my precious time. This sermon, the title of this sermon, comes from something that was written in 1979 by Irma Bombach. She'd been diagnosed with cancer, and she was thinking about her life and the things she'd like to do over. And her reflection wasn't about major regrets or massive transformations. It's just this really simple observation that she had been too concerned with small things, which meant she'd missed out on the joy that was being offered to her so often in her regular, average, everyday life. And I thought, the Sunday after Easter is a good time to just think about what's simple. What are the simple things that we can just enjoy? What are the ways that we can live bigger, live more boldly, think wider about our own lives? For me, the Sunday after Easter is when I need something sort of easy to digest. And so here is Irma Bombeck's reflection. She writes, if I had my life to live over, I would have gone to bed when I was sick instead of pretending the earth would go on a holding pattern if I weren't there for the day. I would have burned the pink candle sculpted like a rose before it melted in storage. I would have talked less and listened more. I would have invited friends over to dinner, even if the carpet was stained or the sofa faded. I would have eaten popcorn in the good living room and worried less about dirt when someone wanted to light a fire in the fireplace. I would have taken the time to listen to my grandfather ramble about his youth. I would have shared more of the responsibility carried by my husband. I would never have insisted the car windows be rolled up on a summer day because I just had my hair teased and sprayed. I would have sat on the lawn, even with the grass stains. I would have cried and laughed less while watching television and more while watching Life. I would never have bought anything just because it was practical, wouldn't soil, or was guaranteed to last a lifetime. Instead of wishing away 9 months of pregnancy, I'd have cherished every moment and realized the wonderment growing inside me was the only chance in life to assist God in a miracle. When my kids kissed me impetuously, I would never have said, "Later, now go get washed up for dinner." There would have been more "I love yous," more "I'm sorries." But mostly, given another shot at life, I would seize every minute, look at it and really see it, live it, and never give it back. So what stops us from living our best lives, from being awake to the wonder of being alive, of grabbing onto life with every ounce of our beings? And are you living the life that you want to live? If today were your last day, would you be satisfied with who you've been and what you've done? Do you feel clear about what and who you love? And have you lived as if that was true? Annie Dillard, the American transcendentalist writer, has several passages about weasels in her books. And I'm fascinated, not because I'm really all that interested in weasels, but because in her writing, she sort of draws this picture of an animal modeled on raw enthusiasm, which we don't see very often in the human world. According to Dillard, the weasel lives by instinct, pointed and focused. A naturalist was once bitten by a weasel who couldn't get him off the palm of his hand. And no matter what he did, he couldn't get him off. And so the naturalist walked for a half a mile with the weasel hanging from his hand until he could find some water in which he soaked the weasel like a stubborn label till the weasel finally let go for fear of drowning. I wonder what it would feel like to live with that much focus. To grab onto the palm of a hand, to be carried through the woods, letting my body get drenched before letting go. I want to live that boldly. I want to live fully, passionately, with all of my energy. I want to care deeply about things, events, people, planet. The other day, someone I know texted me. She was looking to join friends. They were sitting Shiva. She was trying to find the apartment. So she's like, is it, on this? Do I turn over here? She's walking the street. She's freezing. She's wet. It was soaking wet. And I thought, we should all let ourselves get that cold, searching for a grieving widow. We should all give up an afternoon to be present to someone who's raw, open, and vulnerable in that grieving moment of their lives. I want to be part of a community of people sacrificing comfort for that kind of love. American author and fellow Unitarian Henry David Thoreau wrote of his now famous life experiment of letting go of the civilized world. The Bostonian society in which he was living was the Unitarian minister, William Ellery Channing, who, sensing Thoreau's need for focus, urged him to go out, build yourself a hut, and there begin the grand process of devouring yourself alive. So Thoreau borrowed a cabin from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and during his 2 years there, he wrote the essay, Walden, in which he tells us, and I know I quote this a lot, but I find it revealing. He says, I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essentials of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not when I came to die, discover I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck all the marrow out of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life and cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. But Thoreau didn't stay at Walden for more than 2 years. He wrote, I left the woods for as good a reason as I went there. Perhaps it seemed to me that I had several more lives to live and could not spare any more time for that one. It is remarkable how easily and insensibly we fall into a particular route and make a beaten track for ourselves. I had not lived there a week before my feet wore a path from my door to the pond. The surface of the earth is soft and impressible by the feet of men, and so with the paths which the mind travels. How worn and dusty, then, must be the highways of the world, how deep the ruts of tradition and conformity. Thoreau was no escapist or navel-gazer. He lives many lives after Walden. He became an ardent abolitionist, speaking and working against slavery. He also published the essay on the duty of civil disobedience, which went on to inspire Gandhi and our own Reverend John Haynes Holmes, later Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and all of their work for human rights. He had other things to do and more lives to live, and he got on with it. So what about us? It's all too easy to follow along in the path that others have traveled before us or laid out for us, or the paths that we ourselves have worn day after day. Every now and then it's good to look up and look around and ask, am I living a life that is my own? Are there changes I want to make? Are there other lives I'm being called to explore? The question isn't, should we live like the weasel, grabbing onto a single necessity, sinking our teeth into the throat of life? The question is, how do we do that when we also have to file our taxes? How do we live a life awake when there are so many details that can easily lull us back to sleep? How do we make the choice to venture in the cold, to visit a grieving friend, when we could far more easily stay home and keep warm? And how do we know when we're just walking the same paths over and over again, treading the same ground rather than seeking new roads? So if we took today as an opportunity to consider our choices, to pay attention for a moment to the lives we're living, are we fulfilling our desires? Are we going to find ourselves at the end of our lives wishing we'd done it differently? Last summer, my family and I went to Greece. Going to Greece has been a dream of mine. I'd look at pictures of the Aegean Sea and I would long to be there. But it's expensive and I don't speak Greek and I don't have that kind of time. So year after year, I don't go to Greece. Even though these friends of ours live in Greece part of the year. And they always tell me the invitation's wide open. So last spring, I told my husband, I want to go. I really thought it was going to take a lot of convincing given the cost in time and money. My husband is very practical. So I started with my arguments. Our son is in 8th grade. In 5 years, we're not going to have him with us. We won't be able to do things like this. Even if we don't have the money right now, we're never going to have the money. So if we don't go now, we're never going to go, on and on. He didn't need any convincing. He sort of stopped me. He was like, okay, sounds like fun. He actually approached the whole thing, believe it or not, as an opportunity to learn Greek, which very weirdly he did. Was bizarre. We went to Greece, and I'm going to tell you, it was everything I had always hoped it would be, and now I'm trying to figure out how to get back. I actually just I'm getting the applications for Zach to apply to the University of Athens, because I figure if he was there, I would have reason to be there more often. He's reminded me he does not speak Greek, and that could be a problem, but I've said 5 years, he has time. I didn't want to come to the end of my life to discover I had not lived. I didn't want to come to the end of my life and regret not seeing the Aegean Sea. Even though some of the literature that I'm bringing you today is trite and overused, I'm actually adding another poem into the afternoon, which also has become cliche, but there might be some reason that some pieces are just visited too often. And this one is from Mary Oliver, and it's called Summer Day, and you can probably recite it with me. I'm not going to read all of it, although really it's worth the read. But here's a truncated version. She writes, "Who made the world? Who made the swan, the black bear? Who made the grasshopper?" I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? What do you plan to do? If you could go back, what would you do differently? And as you go forward, what life will you create for yourself? Who would you be in this new life? How would you be bigger, bolder? How will you drive life into a corner? What lives are left for you to live? What worries can you let go of so you can live more fully this one life? Maybe today is a day to take a risk, to do the thing you've always wanted to do, to stop waiting for the right time and instead to grab onto this wild and precious life like the weasel and not let go. Let's sing together number 1024. Please rise in body or in spirit when the Spirit says do. Extinguish our chalice together. Thank you. The words are in your program. Knowing how quickly the flame of truth may be extinguished, how easily the chalice of fellowship broken, let us be vigilant in faith, keep peace in our hearts, and make care for one another the watchword of our lives together. So our light goes out everywhere into the world. Our light goes out everywhere healing and hope are needed. Let us go in peace to love and serve the world and one another. It's good to be with you today.